15b. Paisley. Where exactly does one start on a quest from the gods? I wondered at the magnitude of the quest before us. I knew Tenebra had absconded with Alistair, but I hadn't realized that she had abandoned her post and caused the world to fall into elemental chaos. It was a quest I was very happy to undertake. The problem was that we had all just started our Magus training. We hadn't even been at it a full day and already bequeathed this quest. We had a long way to go before we would be ready academically, physically, and magically. We spent the last few days poring over volumes of texts about our patron gods, Tinnitus being mine. The lores not only taught me about the histories of the gods, but also our precursor histories about science and how pre-mortalis were consumed by polluted technologies, which changed them forever. Sator changed everything when he reshaped the world into a magical planet. According to the lore, all magical beings, magus and magical creatures alike, began from the seeds of the gods. Magus from direct mating with the mortalis, and magical creatures from residual cosmic energies that fell to aether. I tried to wrap my head around it and kept coming up short. How did the gods create magus if they cannot bear children? I asked no one in general. It is a misconception that the gods cannot bear children, Arva said. It is only that they may not bear children between themselves, nor are they permitted to raise children. Though, if magus all originally come from the gods, how then do we have a balanced number of magus, when the gods could pass on their seed quickly, though the goddesses would need to bear their children intimately at a lesser rate? I asked back. It says right here that gods take new forms every generation. Each new generation, new prodigies are born for the gods to inhabit, so to speak. With each new generation, the sex of the gods swap, thus leveling the numbers. After the first 2 generations, the birthing ceased, leaving magus to breed amongst themselves to carry on the line and multiply, Arva instructed. Arva's ability to grasp the histories so easily was envious. She was easily the most gifted of the group and always eager to learn more or help. Did Sator ever mate with the mortalis? Wouldn't that create a line of magus with all 4 elemental powers? I wondered aloud. It is speculated that these magus exist and would be known as unimagus. However, none have been discovered yet. Powers of a unimagus are unknown, though speculated to have all 4 elements, Arva stated as she shut her tome and handed it to me. Our week was spent researching the gods and history of aether. We pored through the text, trying to gather as much information for the quest as possible. My eyes already ached from all the exertion, and my stomach lurched with hunger. Jera had given us an early day for family visitation, so lunch had been postponed. The sound of family arriving could be heard outside, which signaled Jera to call an end to our studies. This week sure has been exciting. If you have not yet written to your family about the quest, now is the time to update them. Now, please enjoy your visitation, and I will see you back on Monday. Jera dismissed the class and led the way toward the gathered families. The courtyard had a healthy number of visitors, counting roughly 30 or more. It was easy to spot my family, because they gathered in the largest group. Grandfather, Alira and Fenton, and Cadence had all come out to show their support, as well as some staff. As I approached, ready to dive into multiple embraces, I noticed a new staff member with his back towards me, holding Cadence. Alira tapped him on the shoulder and whispered something to him as I approached. As he turned around, my heart felt as if it had stopped. I stood still in place, staring into the face of my father. The commotion around faded away, and all I could see was him. At first, I thought it to be an effect of the siren ring. My eyes beaded up with tears as the finality of Father's demise sunk in. He handed over Cadence to Alira and walked toward me. But then how was he holding Cadence? All eyes were on Father and I. How could everyone else see him if there weren't enough stones to go around? I reached out to touch his face and met with flesh and bone. How was this possible? I asked. My legs were gelatin beneath me as I swayed in place. Father put his arms around me, stabilizing me in place. I sunk into his embrace, breathing in his aroma. "We thought you were dead," I said, looking up into his face. "Let us regale in my adventure after we have settled in. For now, how about you catch me up on you and your school? Alira has told me much about you girls since I have been gone," Father said. "I'm sorry I have missed so much, and I promise to make it up to you." Father shifted his weight, causing me to take a step back momentarily. It was then that I noticed the crutches at his side, supporting his leg. I looked down to see a false foot from under his trousers. He followed my gaze to his foot and waved my concern away. "A small price to pay to make my way back to my family," Father stated. Our party walked around the grounds enthusiastically, taking in the environment. Fenton enjoyed himself at the training grounds with some wooden weapons, while Grandfather watched Cadence, allowing Alira and I to catch up with Father on the sidelines. "It is a blessing to be home with you girls," Father stated. "I've thought of you every day since I've been gone. I know it has been difficult for you with your mother and I gone. I'd never imagined your grandfather would take you in and provide such a loving home. It hasn't all been such an easy adjustment," I admitted. "But Grandfather has really come around, especially since Grandmother made contact." "I wasn't aware that Tien had come back," Father stated. "I haven't seen her around the manor." "Grandmother mostly visits the gardens some evenings to bring Grandfather news from her clan," Alira corrected. "It has surely brought a light to Grandfather's hardened heart. I'm sure there will be plenty of time to catch up on the household. Paisley and I would like to know what happened while you were away." "Yes, Father," I agreed, still shocked over his presence. "I guess now is as good a time as any to recount the tale," Father said. "As you know, I was on a journey to Magus Isle for the prince's betrothal. We hit some ugly weather on the way. Waterspouts flew up left and right, surrounding the ship. Lightning flashed across the skies, illuminating a being in the air above us. It was Lakis, master of the seas. The men praised his name and prayed for salvation. None would come, though, as he played with the ship like a toy. Suddenly, a massive spout came right at the ship, capsizing it. The ship slowly sank to the ocean's depths, taking many sailors with it. Beneath the waters, mermaids circled the wreckage as we came closer to their home. There was nothing we could do as they rounded us up and imprisoned us in their fortress. We were held in magical cages, allowing us to breathe and speak their tongue. We were questioned every day about our attack on their community. They wouldn't listen to reason as we explained we were passing through and were caught by Lakis. It was nearly a year after imprisonment when they determined we were of no use. Slowly, we were being killed off, 2 at a time. I watched as each cage emptied out around me. Sailors were removed from their cages, only to be shackled to a post and left to drown. The prince and I were all that was left, but I was determined not to die. I thought about you and Mother every day, which gave me the hope and strength to survive. The shackles were enchanted, like the cages, making it impossible to tamper with. They were strung through a ring, which was attached to a long pole that ran deep into the ocean's depths. I was forced to use my own aqua powers as a blade to cut off my own foot, which allowed the shackles to slide off my leg and out of the ring, freeing us from the pole. We made it to the water's surface, and I focused on swaddling my leg in an aqua bandage. We swam as hard as we could, but the pain and stress of keeping up my Magus powers was slowing us down. We were so exhausted and almost gave in to the inevitable end when we started to hear the sweet call. We followed the call, without thought, barely able to function. Finally, we made it to a small, flat island covered in smooth, wet rocks. We had been lured by the blissful tune of a siren, who helped push our escape from the mermaid encampment. The island was home to a group of Selkies, who immediately came to our aid. Exhaustion overtook us immediately, and when we came to, my wound had been fully healed. With the healing powers of the Selkie upon us, we were perfectly healed by morning and well rested. By night, the Selkie would go gather driftwood, and by day they would shift into humans to help us craft a raft. In under a month, we were able to depart. We followed the stars north, back to Mortalis Isle, but the raft just wasn't strong enough. We capsized, and I woke up in the infirmary alone. They said I've been sleeping for months, Father finished. That sounds absolutely terrifying, Alira said, as she grasped Father's hands in her own. We're so glad you have come back to us, Father. I sat, even more stunned than before, reeling in all the information and changes laid out before me. Grandfather and Cadence returned with Fenton, all of whom seemed to have found a few baked apples. Father called a halt to the discussion as Fenton eagerly led us to the source of his bounty. As we sat there, eating our apples, surrounded by other families and friends, I felt so at peace, though I knew I would have to rip off the bandage already about the quest. It is good we are all here, because I have something to tell you, I started. It would seem that with Tenebra's disappearance, she has caused this rift in Aether's balance. Tinnitus has quested us to seek out the godly essences in order to restore balance to Aether. But you have only begun your training this week. This must be a mistake, Alira complained. There is little that can be done, Alira, when one is given a quest from the gods. It is absolute, Father stated. We must have faith that the gods have a reason for their choosing. Grandfather snorted and cleared his throat, obviously dissatisfied with the situation. Father's response, or perhaps both. Since there is nothing that can be done about it, we must prepare as best we can, Grandfather added. Be sure to keep us apprised, and let me know if you should need anything. There must be something that can be done, right? Alira asked. I mean, Paisley is only 13. I'm afraid not. Let us finish our wonderful visit, Alira, Father said, and try to make most of this time we all have together. I don't know about you, Fenton said, but if 'twere me, I'd pack a bunch of these apples for your trip. He pushed another apple to his mouth, laughing as the rest of us joined in, making light-hearted mentions of the quest to break the tension. It was the greatest night since Mother had passed, and I couldn't wait for the next Visitor's Day.